In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to build 3 different simple doors in Buildlife Treasure. Here is door number 1, which is a nice simple opening door that opens and closes in a simple manner. And if I head over here, here we have door 2, which speeds up and slows down as it opens and closes, with additional lights and music, which are optional. And then we have a third door, which I'm not sure what it does, but it pushes forwards and then opens up, and then it closes and then pulls back. You have to use these 2 levers in this specific order because we do not have logic in this game to make it on 1 lever. Anyways, I'm going to be showing you how to make all of these doors in this video. So the materials you may need are blocks of your choice, many pistons, a large amount of hinges, some delay blocks, which I will be calling timers by accident for those 2 doors, music blocks, screwdriver, scale tool, and I forgot to place down, you need a connection wrench thing. So, for this first door, it is rather simple. What you will need is 2 blocks, and then a hinge coming out of these 2 blocks, and then a block on top of that hinge. Now that you have this assembly, you want a piston on top of this block, and then once you have this piston, you want a block on top of the piston, then a hinge coming out of that block. This allows the piston to rotate whilst it goes up, as well as the door attached to it. Now, once you've created that, it's time for the actual door itself. So you want, however wide you want your door coming out, I'm going to build 4 wide. And then build 1 or 2 blocks downwards, however many you want. And then build at least 2 blocks upwards. Like so. Now once you have that in place, you want to, off the back of this set of blocks, build a row of multiple blocks after that. And once you have this row of blocks created, you will then want to add a hinge to this back block here. This is what your door should be looking like, or similar to, right now. And now once you've got that all complete, finally for this block, stretch it down, and then get your screwdriver tool, and click on everything. Like so, and once you have clicked on everything, anchored off. Now, you may get some bugginess. This can easily be resolved by just clicking on and off the piston. Now, you can modify the piston length and your speed to your liking. I personally like to have my piston at length 9 or length 8. As it seems the most smooth when opening and closing. Now this door might seem quite complicated, because if I show you this spaghetti, it looks rather intimidating. But it's not actually that complicated, it's just the amount of connections we need to do. However, the first part of this door that we want to create, before we bother with connections, is a stick going upwards. Now, on this stick, you want to place a row of 3 pistons, like so. 1, 2, 3. And make sure that they are not connected to anything yet. So place down a temporary lever for everything to connect up to. Once you have these 3 levers, you want to unanchor every single one of them. I said levers, not pistons, sorry. And you want to set the length of this back one to 1 with speed 1, length of this middle one to 2 with speed 1, and the length of the front one to length 7 with speed 5. Now, extend out all of your pistons to see how far your door will go. And now, on these pistons, you want to build your door. So it should look something like this. And if you want to go for fancy extra detail, like I added on this door, you might want to add prongs here, then paint them either yellow or black. Now once you have this door in place, you want to turn off anchored on this door, and then once you've turned off anchored, just make sure that it does move, which it does. And now, what you want to do here is to create this other door, to place a block here, place a block here, just to show you that that is where this door finishes. Now, retract this. And because I know that this block was here underneath this gap, to begin my second door, I'm going to place a block here, paint it black, and then just to check, let's re-extend the door, and they align perfectly. So you want your other door to be the same size as this door, so in my case 4 by 5 with the little prongs attached up afterwards. So let me make my door and I'll be right back. Now once I've created the second door here, I am going to check once again that they interlock, which they do. And then I want to attach this piston array onto this set of doors. So we want pistons, pistons, pistons. To attach pistons to the back of this door, like so. And they should hook up to this lever. And set the exact same settings on the other door, just mirrored. So 1, speed 1. And then 2, speed 1. And then 7, speed 5. But you want to unanchor these pistons and not the door yet. Then extend these pistons outwards. Once they have extended outwards, like so, create another pole that just attaches to the floor. Once you've created this, you may now unanchor the main door itself. So, once this main door has been unanchored, extend this door into it, and you'll see that they align perfectly. And now, let's retract the doors. So, let's quickly grab one of these to plonk our logic on. So, for that we need a lever that opens this door, and then straight after this lever we need a delay block feeding into a delay block, which feeds into a delay block. and hook them up, like so. At this point, you can remove your temporary lever, although it is not recommended, as things might start hooking up to random other things you do not want. Once you have these delay blocks set up, when you pull the lever, they should activate in that order. Once you can be sure they activate in that order, you want to hook up the first delay block to the middle piston on both sides. Just the way I set it up means we do want to hook it up to the middle piston. Then this second block hooks up into the first piston on each side. And this final block hooks up into the back pistons. Once you have this arrangement, when you pull your lever, your door should do this, which makes it speed up, and then as it reaches the end, slows down. So now, once you have your opening logic completed, you may want to add lights that flash in an alternating pattern, which you may add here and here and here and here, and unhook them from any lever they might by default hook up to, unless it's the temporary lever which you'll be deleting later. Now, paint these lights whatever colour you want. I prefer to paint them red. And now, once you've painted the lights, grab out your delays and place 3 delay blocks, like so. Now, this delay block has a sequence, like so, and you hook the first delay block into this light, and the second delay block also goes into the first 2 lights, just so if we activate this really quickly, 2 seconds, you'll see that they turn on and then turn off, unless you hook it up incorrectly. That should hook up into... no. So if it is hooked in correctly, like so, the lights should turn on and then turn off. Now, it does appear to be getting a little bit messy already, but the second delay block hooks into the other lights which have not yet turned on or off, and the third one also needs to hook up into both. Once you've done that, your lights should flash like so. Now, say you want your lights to constantly be flashing when your door is moving. Set a delay for your lights to be flashing between. I typically set the first delay block to 0.1, the second delay block to 0.2, and the third delay block to 0.2. And this just means you get a nice quick flash. Now for the most disgusting looking part of the coding. This is the part of the sequence which tells the delay blocks to activate and when to activate. So what you want to do is you may want to move these delay blocks out the way. Create a grid of 9 delay blocks, like so. Set them all to 0.5 delay, as long as these 2 activate every 0.2 seconds, and the first one activates every 0.1 second. Now they're all 0.5 in delay, 2 seconds. Let me just move this away from the door so we can see what is happening. We want to hook each of these delay blocks into each other, like so. So you sort of get a 2 pattern that emerges. Now once you have this, if you haven't moved it, then you don't need to do this, but if you did move it, for clarity, just move it back onto your board, and now what you want to do is hook every single one of these delay blocks into this first block. And now, if this lever hooks up into the first of them, I'm not sure if it is the lever or this delay block, but the lights should begin flashing and then stop flashing when the door closes. And now you have this simple system in place, you might want to add the music notes, which I added over here. These music notes just do a nice jingle to tell people that this door is currently closing. So, what you want is 2 music blocks, and place them down. And then, once you have your 2 music blocks, place a delay block behind each of them, so you know what hooks up into where. Now, one delay block feeds into the other, and they have a delay of 1 second. Now, what you want to do is to set the notes of these delay blocks. You want this first one to be a E, an E, and then this second one to be a G, preferably in the same octave so it sounds nicer. E, E, F, G. So now you have those 2 in place. You want to hook this array, which tells the lights to flash, into this first block as well. At this point, it is getting rather messy, so if you do need to separate the different parts out to see what you're doing, that is fine. Alright, so I must have set the delay wrong, because the second one should actually be 0.25 instead. So it sounds like this. If you want, you can mess around with the timings of this circuit. For example, setting the first thing to 0.25 as well, to make it do this sound more frequently. And something that I do like to do is I like to remove the last one from the sequence, place another delay block with another note that hooks into that delay block, and then set this note to something higher than the other 2 notes. For example, in this door, I set it to D in the purple colour, like so. And then I hook this last block into there with a... what was the delay? 1.25 second delay. Once you have that, you may test your door. That delay is definitely far too large, so we can reduce it to 0.25. So now, when your door opens and closes, you have a nice jingle. And this spaghetti code is rather messy, so once again, if you do need to, you can separate things by moving them about, and if you move them about, it can sometimes make it clearer to see what exactly goes into where. Then once you've done that, you can always just move it back down to wherever you need it. And yeah, that should be the second door done. Now for the third door, which is arguably simpler than the second door, apart from this wiring is a bit of a mess to understand. So to start off with, you want a pillar of 2 blocks, and then you want a hinge with a piston on the top of this hinge, like so. And make sure to remember that as you are placing these components, you may want a temporary lever, just so it doesn't hook up into random things. Off of this piston, you want a block here, with a piston on top of it, which is what rotates open the door. On top of this piston, you want another block, followed by a hinge, followed by your door in blocks, and for this one I just went with a simple 2x4 door. Now, once you have your door created, you then want to come out back of this door, place a hinge here, a piston off the back of this hinge, then a pillar downwards. Now, unanchor your door. Once your door has been selected and you unanchor it, it will be a little bit buggy like the first door was, but just retract the pistons and it normalizes itself out. Once you've done this, flicking this lever should cause this to happen. And I've evidently broken it here, so you do want to be careful when you make this door for things that might break. So make sure to set this first piston to have a pretty small extension, and then it should normalise itself out with that extension. Make sure that these other 2 pistons always have the exact same length, otherwise the game will bug out your door like we saw when we unanchored it. And now for the spaghetti code that is wiring this thing up. So we want 4 delay blocks, like so, all on the exact same duration. And then we want 2 levers, of which I'm going to replace my temporary lever and place 2 more levers. And now, so this delay must hook up into this piston, and this delay must hook up into the back 2 pistons. And now, what you want to do is, because we cannot make this go back and forth, or it will create an infinitely recurring loop, we must make it so that this lever activates this timer, and this timer, and this lever activates this timer, and this timer, which I've just remembered are called delays. So then, the timer that currently isn't hooked up into anything must now hook up into the timer that the lever isn't hooked up into. So, like so. and like so. Then when you pull one lever, it will move it out and push it up. And when you press the other lever, it will push it down and move it back. And that should be the third door complete. And if you had glitches whilst unanchoring, just take a couple screenshots of this and you should be good to go. And just note that pistons can be buggy at times, so if your door does bug out, you may have to just remake it and be more careful when unanchoring. Like, instead of holding control when selecting pistons, just click the pistons individually to unanchor it. And the final thing for this door in particular is if you are going to stick it on a certain build, like a car, you might want to select it to invisible and no collision. Like so. And then once you have it like this, now you can just see this floating block, and then when it opens, you can just walk right through like there is nothing there. Anyways, these were all 3 doors that I had to show you today, and don't be afraid to pause the video at any time to go back over the doors and how to construct them. Just to remind you, this is the first door, which you can customize the heights and other things. This is the second door, which I left the logic floating, and here is the logic and all of its wiring. And when you open and close it, it speeds up and then slows down and plays a little jingle and has flashing lights. And this final door over here is a door that could most likely be used on a car, and unfortunately we do have to use 2 levers to open and close it, but that's because we do not currently have logic within this game. And do remember that with this final door, you can make everything invisible with collisions turned off. So anyways, that is all 3 doors that I've shown you. Thanks for watching, pull subscribe, and goodbye.